We've talked about how to do a strapless air, how to do a front roll, how to do a 360 shove it. Today, we're gonna put it all together in how to do a front roll 360 shove it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Evan Netsch, and today we're gonna talk about how to do a front roll 360 shove it. This is a trick that I would say is kind of, for me, a pinnacle of strapless riding in flat water. Super fun. You're incorporating a lot of different tricks into one, and for me, it's one of those tricks that still today, I go out and some days I can land 5 of them in a row. Some days I go out and I can't do one to save my life. And that's what keeps me coming back for more. That's why it's so rewarding to do. And it's challenging because you really have to perfect multiple different maneuvers and build them all together just perfectly. But when you do, when you land it, it feels incredible. So, how to do a front roll 360 shove it. Obviously, no one out there is just going out, you know, my first day riding a surfboard, I'm gonna go do a front roll 360 shove it. Check out some of our previous videos to build that foundation. We talk about how to do a strapless air, how to do a front roll, how to do a shove it. I'd say you need to be comfortable doing that front roll and doing that shove it, and then we're gonna tie the two of those together. So, doing the front roll 360 shove it. I take off my front roll just like any other front roll. Same rotation. I don't try to go massive high. I also don't go super low. You need to be able to complete that front roll with enough time where you can kind of spot your landing and have a little bit of height to do that shove it at the end. So as I come around for my front roll, as soon as I leave the water, you can pretty easily tell like this one's good and solid and I've got a really nice connection with my board, or ooh, it's a little shaky. I had a bad takeoff, maybe a weird puff of wind, piece of chop. I'm not that well like connected to my board. If you get one where you're not that connected to your board, it's gonna be harder because you need complete control going into that shove it. So pretty often I'll go to do one, and as soon as I leave the water, I realize this isn't the right one. You just land a regular front roll and you try it again, waiting for that right pop and that nice feeling front roll, kind of the appropriate height. So as you complete your front roll, you come around, you do your front roll, nose the board kind of nice and high into the wind is how I like to do it. And I try to kind of slow myself down and stop my rotation a little bit early when my nose is still pointed into the wind. And this is kind of how you do a shove it. Like when you go up to do your shove it, you carve into the wind, nose the board under the bottom, you push the tail of the board around, and your front foot stays fairly planted on the board as that board rotates around. And you're rotating that board around your foot with that nose of the board into the wind. And so that's why I kind of stop my front roll a little bit early with that nose of the board into the wind. I've got good control of the board, and as soon as I do that, I just push that tail out with my back foot, pretty similar to a regular shove it. It's a little scarier because you're usually higher and you're coming in pretty fast. But as I come around, it feels really good because it's that same direction of rotating. You know, your board is basically doing 2 rotations in that same direction, two front rolls, but you're stopping your body. And so for me, I think that's why I really enjoy it. It feels fluid, it feels smooth, and when you stick it, it just feels like one of the best things ever. So as I come around, I'm spotting my landing, I still have sufficient height. I'm gonna push the tail of the board out with my back foot. That board's gonna spin around on my front foot, and you try to kind of connect with the water right as that nose of the board comes back down, those tails clip the water, that's when your back foot's coming back onto the board. For me, what happens a lot is I just rotate a little bit too far. I'm still not faced into the wind. I come around, I've gone into that front roll so much momentum, now I'm kind of pointing just back across the wind, and I try to do my shove it. And when I try to do the shove it a little bit later, I kick the board out, and as the board rotates, usually that rail catches, that rail hits the water, and I usually come in kind of landing on my board, but I just land and slip right off that toe side edge. So for me, doing that 360 shove it nice and early, or not early in the rotation, but well before you land, while that board is still facing that nose kind of higher into the wind, that really helps me keep control, come down and land. Again, obviously you just want to make sure that, you know, I would say you keep your kite nice and powered. That way you can be, you know, you can sheet in to kind of slow yourself down a little bit at the end. If you're coming in on a front roll really hot and hard and heavy, it's gonna be very tricky. I kind of sheet in at the end as I do that shove it to give myself a little more float. And then obviously you're gonna miss a lot of them. Your board's gonna come down. It could come down upside down, fin first. It is a bit dangerous in that regard. So I would, you know, I'm not afraid to kind of know which ones are going bad, get away from it, kind of bail away from my board if I'm not feeling in good control. But as long as that deck of the board stays with you, even if you land not quite right, you land on top of the deck and you fall, knock on wood if there's a wood around here, I have yet to be made a hard impact with my fins. I have hit my fins a few times, so certainly beware of that. But that's the front roll 360 shove it. Super technical trick, super challenging trick, and it's one of those that I've just, you know, I've always enjoyed doing as long as I can do it. And there's different elements to it too. You can do a front roll, say like 180 shove it, and kind of do it a little bit later, land backwards, fins first, and then kind of do a spin around. There's different ways you can do it, but that full front roll into a full 360 shove it, to me, just has so many different rotations going on at the same time. I think in video, it looks kind of complicated, but in practice, it's very smooth, very fluid, and it feels great. So I hope this was helpful. I hope, you know, this is something that you can aspire to do, or this is, you know, really helpful for you to taking your riding to the next level, learning how to do your front roll shove it, and hopefully see you on the water one day and get the share session together. Thanks so much for watching today, and hope to see you back here again in the future.